Hello, everybody. I'm back. Woo, we're back. Yeah. How is everybody? Both on Instagram and Twitch. I hope everyone had a good weekend, and if you're in America, a good long weekend. Ow. Mine was filled with cleaning and tidying and purging my kids' bedrooms. Oh my gosh. The purging. I have been putting it off, but my kids' bedrooms were just full of stuff. So good to start stitch along. Yay! Yeah, my kids' rooms were full of stuff, especially my youngest. She likes to collect everything. And I threw out a lot of trash and made up 2 boxes of stuff to donate. So it was a very productive weekend. Today we're going to do some stitching. Yay! We're going to do this scarf here, as you can probably tell based on where everything's positioned. It's going to be just a reminder because it's Tuesday. I keep thinking it's Monday, so I'm kind of saying that to remind myself mostly, but it is Tuesday, which means I have a hard finish that I gotta, stay true to because I have an appointment. So yeah, we're gonna do something big. So when we look at our piece after today, it'll have a big like blah of a stitch, which will be nice. And we'll be able to use our cool coloris floss too, which is always fun. Well, I think it's fun anyway. Hopefully you do too. But I'm not gonna wait around until 5 past. I usually do, but I want to get started now. So we're going to use our coloris floss, which again I'll explain. I'm not using the same one as what's in the pattern because I went to go purchase another skein of it before the stitch along and they didn't have any at my local craft stores. So I'm using the next best thing. Oh, this is one of the stitches I'm most looking forward to learning. Yay! Do you do classes on learning how to embroidery? Not at the moment. This is kind of the closest thing I have to learning how to do embroidery. I am actually planning for this year to get started on like little snippet videos to put on YouTube about how to do each stitch. So I suggest if you want to, you don't have to, you go follow me on YouTube. I will post whenever I, well, maybe not every time, but whenever I do a couple of like additions to that, when that starts happening, I will let everyone know on Instagram. So anyway, that'll be something to look forward to, which is always a nice thing. But yes, for now we're going to learn the chain stitch. It's a very, very easy stitch, I promise you. It might look a little bit complicated. This is what it's going to look like when we're done. We can do this scarf as chunky as we want, or as skinny as we want. I'm going to try and mimic what I've done here just to make it easier for everyone to know what's going on. We're not doing this little bit on the end in case you're freaking out. We're doing this bit here. We're going to do this. Probably it'll be one of the last stitches we learn just because it's kind of everywhere. It's here and it's actually this one up here too. That one's called the turkey work stitch. But now today we're going to do the chain stitch and it'll look awesome. So let's get started. Thank you, I love your designs. Oh, thank you. So we're going to pull a really long piece of our floss. Again, I suggest you pull out to like stretch out your arm. If you can see me on Twitch, you'll see what I'm doing. I stretch out my arm straight away from, away from my body, and measure all the way to like my sternum when I want to get a long cut of thread. The reason we want a long piece is because we don't really want to interrupt the stitch. It's not that it's going to use up a hell of a lot of thread. I mean, it will use up a lot, but you don't necessarily want to be interrupting the stitch, because otherwise you'll get jumps of color that'll look a little bit strange. Anyway, so we're going to use all 6 strands. I've just threaded my needle without showing you guys, but I'm going to do my quilter's knot, which again is just pinching the floss between my fingers with the needle in the way. I'm going to wrap around twice because I'm using all 6 strands, and then pull it through, or pinch it, so you can see my little tail here. Pinch it, pull it through until it doesn't go through anymore, and then you've got your little knot. And then I like to trim off the tail so that it doesn't get pulled through by accident. I've got another pair of scissors here. One sec. There we go. Okay, so there are 2 ways to do the chain stitch. There is the chain stitch, and then there's the reverse chain stitch. I actually don't know which one I'm going to show you. That's a really good question. Let me just Google that really quickly, because I think I'm going to show you the regular one. I was going to show you the regular one. If I wasn't, then I will correct it. I was going to show you the reverse chain stitch. Okay, interesting. I'm glad I checked that. No, I wasn't. No, I wasn't. Okay. I know what I'm doing. Anyway, we're going to come up on the... Sorry, I just realized you probably can't see where I'm poking. We're going to come up in the little corner here. It's not focusing very well. We're going to come up in this like little angle to start our stitch. We're going to move the knot behind our work out of the way, because we're going to go back in to the same point, and then not pull all the way through. Sorry, I've got my thumb like just holding the loop that I want, and I'm all tangled. And then I'm going to come up. I like to do it about a centimeter. Is that a centimeter? My God, I'm on a roll today. How much is that in inches? Because I know you guys are mostly American. We're going to go with, oh my God, what's that? 1/4 of an inch. Pull through with our floss through the loop. Pull all the way through so that we've got a like our little lazy daisy. But instead of poking our... Hang on, I gotta move my Twitch camera. Okay. But instead of poking in on the other side of the loop like we did with our lazy daisies, we're going to go back in to where we were, where we just came up, sorry. Pull through. Get a knot in your thread. I don't suggest that. Come on. Keep your little loop open. And just continue doing that. You don't want to pull it too tight here. You kind of want to be able to see through it. Well, that's normally how you would have the stitch. If you want to pull it tight, you can. It'll just be harder to get your needle in again. So again, you want to make sure you're not twisting your floss. You want it to sit flat. But basically with the first one, we're just going to follow this line. You'll be able to see the lovely gradient happening with your floss. This is really hard to do without holding my work in hand. So I'm sorry that my hands are getting in the way. Are you on the line or just inside? I'm doing it on the line. Just because I want to make sure that I get at least 4 rows of the chain. Do you go back inside the loop or do you straddle it? No, we go back inside. We're coming up and then we're going back in exactly where we just came up. So again, just because a couple of people have jumped on, I got my little loop in my left hand. I'm going to come up about, what did I say, 1/4 of an inch with the needle through the little loop. I'm going to pull through gently, and then I'm going to go back in where I came up, so inside the loop again. Don't pull all the way through. Oh, my floss is super twisted. Just remember to let your floss hang so that it can untwist as well. I got my little loop still, and come up through it again. I gotta try and let my floss hang. One sec. Oh, that's a lot of spinning. And again, I go in where I just came up, so inside the loop. Hang on to your new loop that you've made. Come up through that loop, and then back in where you came up onto the next one. I like that I started out with a tiny little dark spot of my floss, and I've done lots of light since then. So just for the latecomers, I have a hard finish today. I need to make sure that I'm done before 12:45, but I'm kind of hoping that maybe we get this done before 12:30, because that gives me a chance to make a phone call that I need to make. But we'll see how we go, because I can make the phone call later. I have a very stacked afternoon. So just a reminder as well that you don't have to follow the guides that I've laid out in the pattern if you don't want to. Alright, now that we're at the end, I should have done that one a little bit longer. I might actually undo that. Okay, I've anchored it by accident. I don't recommend undoing it unless you are confident with it. Okay. See, I've like made a chain reaction, excuse the pun, of messing up my stitches. Alright, here we go. I'm going to thread my needle again. I'm going to trim the end off because it's all splayed. Got to stitch with confidence, and I wasn't stitching with confidence. going to go back in, and then I'm going to come up right at the end. And then this one we're going to finish, oh, you can't see what I'm doing, sorry. This one I'm finishing like a lazy daisy. So instead of going back in where we just came up, I'm coming in on the other side of the loop to tack it down. And that is the start of our chain. Well, that is the chain stitch, not the start of. That's the start of our scarf is what I was going to say. So I like to try and keep, oh, I got a random bit of fabric. I like to try and keep as much of the floss as I can. So I'm just going to run it through a couple of times and tie it in a knot. I still haven't fixed that brown thing. That's just becoming like a joke now, that it'll never get fixed. You laughing at my random brown strand of thread again. It is funny. Alright, let's do this. I've rolled up my sleeves now. We're going to do this. Okay, I'm just going to tie another quilter's knot in the end of my floss. And it's so much easier to do if I just do it off camera. So I have shown it a few times. If you haven't seen it before, I recommend you go to pretty much any of my videos and you'll see it. Now, the main thing we want to note for our chain stitch for the scarf is we don't want to have any gaps between all the chain stitches. So you want to make sure that you're hugging the other chain stitch. Because we're using 6 strands, it's kind of easy to do that as long as you are super close. So I'm going to come in a third of the way along this little straight line, and we want to make sure that we're starting on this end, or this end if you started here. We're starting on whichever end every single time. So I'm going to come up, move my knot out of the way behind my work, pull through, not all the way though, and then I'm going to follow roughly. It doesn't matter if you follow the chains from previous exactly, because we're curving around a line, so they're all, if you follow it exactly, then some of the chains are going to be a bit squished and some are going to be a bit stretched. So if you want to, you can, but you don't have to. I just like to try and make sure that they're all about the same length. Once you start getting to the end, then you want to be kind of judging how big to make the final couple of chains so that you end up at the same spot each time. This is a much lighter color than the other coloris floss that I used. Love the texture when the chains are together. Same. When I thought of it as an idea for this piece, I was like, yes, that's perfect. So I wanted to show something that looked similar to what we're going to do for the mittens, but the stitch for the mittens is quite complicated and very easy to mess up. Plus, I didn't want to inundate everyone with 2 pieces of clothing that use the same tricky stitch, because we're already doing 2 mittens, you know. We're getting into darker territory now with the color, for mine at least. I'd love to see what everyone else is using. if you're using a completely different coloris floss color, that would be awesome. I considered that personally, just out of curiosity mostly. See what the whole piece would have looked like with something wildly different. I actually wanted to use like a similar kind of gradient of colors but in purple for this one, but I didn't have one, and I didn't even look online if there is one. So I'm running out of thread, and I've twisted that one by accident. So you can see the top is over this line is over the top of the other one, so that's telling me that I've twisted it by accident. So I need to pull it through. Oh, what have I done? Gotta undo it again. I made a little ball. Come on. Okay, I'm gonna hang on to that so I don't pull that through by accident. I'm using 4220 and it has some purple. Is that the purple and blue one? Or a purple and blue one? I'll have a look at which one that is when I'm done. Okay, pulling that side. Oh, come back! Oh no! This is a disaster! Again, it's a chain reaction. It's not good. I'm going to use this needle to just go like that, and then get a second needle. So this is why I don't suggest you undo your stitches, in case that wasn't clear. My floss is... I jinxed it because I said I'm almost done. That's why I've got the needle there, because I've just pulled through that. Okay, there we go. Now I can go... Oh, come on. Okay, I'm gonna get that, make that really big. Alright, so I have fixed that. I need to trim off all these frayed ends. So like, you can see all these frayed ends, which is normal while you're stitching, but it's impossible to rethread your needle when they're like that. So, well, I think it's impossible. Anyway, so we had to undo that because it was all twisted. Whoops, I was about to go in the wrong spot. Purple, blue, and white. Nice. Okay, that's better. It's not all twisted now. And then we'll do the last stitch. And so again, with the last one, we're going to make it like a lazy daisy, and we're going to go on the outside of the loop to tack it all down. Look at that, those matched up perfectly, that little light bit of floss. That was totally deliberate. I knew that was going to happen. I'm joking, by the way, in case that wasn't abundantly clear. People keep telling me I'm funny lately, so it's gone to my head. Okay, we'll get another bit of floss. Remember to just make sure your fabric's all tight. need to lower that because my light's been a bit tricksy. Okay. Scissors. I forgot what cuts for a second there. Don't worry about it, the colors matching, because if you think about someone who knits or crochets, and they're just using like a very beautiful piece of yarn or ball of yarn, and not like caring about where it all sits, so it's like all higgledy-piggledy style and just a pretty rainbow kind of thing. It's like that. So you can see how, like this bit here, I started off with a light bit on the third row, but it doesn't look gaudy. Does that make sense? So hopefully that makes sense. Alright, just knocking everything around. I'm going to come up on the second third of this line. I'm going to move my knot out of the way, go back into the same spot, and start again. Higgledy-piggledy may be my favorite word of the day. Have you not heard of that before? I've been living in America for over 6 years, and I have so many Australianisms still. I'm constantly surprised that things I say that are just normal are not in this country. What's happening? It's not coming through. Come on, what you doing? Oh, there's a knot. Okay. Well, that would explain it. You can't just flip over your work and see what's going on. Makes things a little bit tricky. So this is not impossible to do while you're holding the embroidery hoop. Like you can see that I'm using my left hand quite a bit. Because if you let your thread hang and untwist, you're going to find that your loops, if you pull them through gently, are going to sit and be obvious which is the correct way to hold it and stitch through. So don't worry about if you're thinking like, oh, I need a hoop stand or something like that. I always use my body as well to hold my work. One of the benefits of having boobs. Got to be some benefit to having them. Am I right, ladies? Okay, so I'm nearing the end, and I'm noticing that this is quite a large gap, but it's not large enough that I can fit 3 stitches. So I'm like, it's just something that I'm aware of. I kind of finished the last chain a little bit too far, which is not a problem because we're going to hide it with the turkey work, but I don't want to continue that trend of stitching it too far down. Yes, everyone agrees with my there's got to be a benefit of having boobs comment. So that's the third one. Oops. And I know that the majority of my followers can understand that because Instagram tells me that like 95% of my followers are women. So there's that. Clang, bang, knock, bump. Alright, let's do the last one. Hopefully I've got enough floss. Should have. It was good before. Alright. So if you've noticed that we don't have like a lot of space here, but we've got lots of space here, don't worry about following the pattern exactly is what I want to get at. I'm obviously going to have to add some here, and I need to follow the most important thing, I guess, is to make sure you don't have gaps in between your chains, plural. So don't worry about filling out like this bulge here. As long as you don't have gaps between your chains, then you're all set. So I'm going to come up on the corner, move my knot out of the way behind my work, go back in, and start again. And a reminder in case you didn't watch the stream on Friday, when we pull our loops, we want to be pulling away from our work, away from the spot where the thread's coming in and out. We want to be pulling that way, because if we pull this way, our loop is just going to sit flat like that, which is not what we want. Doesn't it look so lovely and chunky that you just want to wear it? It looks even more cozy when it gets its little tassels on the end. Oh. Okay, so I pulled that one a bit too excitedly, and before I lose it completely, I've just grabbed a second needle and pulled it back through. Come on, loop. Thank you. And that's our little scarf. Isn't she beautiful? Wow, my colors matched up almost perfectly. That's pretty cool. So we're going to leave it there for today. I'm very pleased with that. I hope you are too. I'll have to figure out what we do tomorrow. I'm thinking maybe we'll start on the trees. The trees are going to take a little bit of time, so I know that once we start on that, it might roll into a second day that we keep working on them. I'm kind of saving the rug for a bit. The mittens are going to be later in the stitch along, just because they're, like I said before, they're a little bit trickier, and we'll get some more stitching under our belts. But the turkey work stuff is going to be last, so that will finish off the whole thing very nicely. And that, again, the turkey work is all these like little tassels and the pom-pom and stuff. So I'll have to have a think about what we do next. If you have a specific section that you want to learn how to do next, let me know. I've just realized that we've got to do the mittens before we can do the spiderweb stitch. So anyway, I'll have a think. You can reach out if you've got any questions. Otherwise, I will see you all tomorrow at midday again. Bye!